jawaabteedu waxay ahayd dawladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dawladda Mareykanka qabo waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay wadankan annaga ku nool wadankan wadankii aan annaga.
How dare you question her loyalties? How dare you? How dare you? Well, get ready, because we're all questioning her loyalties again. But this time, I mean, it's hard not to. You know how whenever Republicans criticize Representative Ilhan Omar for being, kind of soft on terrorists, making excuses for terrorists. You remember that whole, on September 11th, some people did something thing, and it's like, wow, wait, that's no American politician would ever use language like that. Whose side is she on? And suddenly you're called racist and xenophobic and Islamophobic. And how dare you question her loyalties? How dare you? How dare you? Well, get ready, because we're all questioning her loyalties again. But this time, I mean, it's hard not to, given the words that she used in a speech she recently gave to a group of fellow Somali Americans. Now, I got to warn you, this is in her native language, so there's a lot of captions. And we're going to just sort of plow through a little bit of this so you can get the feel and the tone and the tenor. And then we'll tell you what she said based on the translations that we've received. By the way, nobody's denied this translation. It's been out for over a day now. You can see there for the first caption here, we as Somalians, ma'am, you're an American. You are a naturalized American citizen. You are not a Somalian. You can call yourself a Somali American if you'd like, but it's a little disconcerting when you call yourself just a flat out Somalian. Okay? Just a tip. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, actually. Let's watch.
Annaga hadii aan nahay dad Soomaali ah waxaan nahay dad isjecel waa laga yaabaa meelaha qaarkood inaan isku xagxagano laakiin hadii runtii ay imaato waxaan nahay dad isku tashto dad walaalo ah dad dhiig lah dad isku og inay Soomaali yihiin inay Muslim yihiin oo iyagana isku hiiliya dadka walaalahoodna u hiiliya marka daraad markii ayaan dhaxdaas markii aan maqalnay in qaar Soomaali ah ama Soomaali sheegato in Ethiopia ay la galeen ما بقى كان في صومالي وحلو قوله agreement هشيس محمود نور هذا أنا كصومالي قبضي صعب معها تطبضنا يسوع عيو حليهن إلهان دولة أمريكا كأن الله هذا الشدواية دولة أمريكا محيك خبنا يساع جوابتي ذو حي هاد دولة أمريكا وحيك خبنا يساع وحي أنا قاعد تهنو دولة أمريكا كخبو waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay wadankan annaga ku nool wadankan wadankii aan annaga tax ka dhiibno waaye waa wadankii gabar idinka dhalatayne ee Congress ka fadhiso.
Now, just for some quick backstory, apparently there's a portion of Somalia that has sort of become a separatist entity. They call themselves Somaliland. And as you could tell from a portion of that speech, they've made a recent agreement with Ethiopia. This is, stuff going on over in the Horn of Africa and in a part of the continent of Africa that is fraught with territorial disputes and such. Much of it is religious based as well. Honestly, something that we have an interest in. But what's more important here is what this woman, this individual member of Congress, 1 out of 435 people, is saying to her fellow Somalian Americans here about what our foreign policy will be and who will direct it. Also, really, really important distinction here where she said we are Somalians first and Muslims second. Didn't even say who came in third, but since she didn't mention America yet, I guess let's be generous and charitable and think, well, I guess we got third place. We got the bronze. But this is how she goes about her everyday work as a member of Congress. Somalia first, Islam second, and then we'll think about the U.S. Now, let's take a look at some of the screen captions here from what she had to say. My answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. Is that how we run our foreign policy here in this country? I mean, maybe that the Biden administration, that's what they do, which, well, I'll get to that in a minute. because I want you to finish seeing what she had to say, and then let's figure out exactly how she came up with these ideas. The next one is, we Somalians must have the confidence in ourselves that we call the shots in the U.S. So there's a flare-up over in Somalia. We're not sure what side is the right side to take. Let's ask Ilhan Omar and the people who vote for her, and we'll do whatever they tell us to do. No, ma'am. That's not how this works. Our commander-in-chief and the foreign policy apparatus at the State Department and at the Pentagon and the National Security Council, they figure out what's in the best interest of the United States of America, not people who have patriated themselves from Somalia here. Because, see, that's the problem with this entire mentality. When you emigrate from another country and you become an American citizen, you literally swear that you no longer have those allegiances and that your priority is our priority and our interest. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. We will follow your orders? The whole they and we thing, by the way, is fascinating. You see, we Americans, we still have a quaint notion that we, the people, are in charge of this country. That we, the people, the first three words of the Constitution, are actually the ones who give consent to our government, not the other way around. But that certainly isn't her perspective. The we and they is they, the government, will do what we tell them to do. Well, no, not exactly. Not the way she sees it. And again, I think the most important part of that is that she suggests that we should do what's in the best interest of Somalia. Well, no, I'm sorry. We'll do what's in the best interest of the United States of America. Now, a couple of things that we need to explore here. I mean, how did we get here with Ilhan Omar? How did she reach the point where she felt emboldened to be able to stand up in front of fellow Somalian Americans and say something so outrageous? Where did she get the notion that the American government and the foreign policy apparatus will do whatever she or the Somalians in her district want them to do? Is it possible that she heard this from someone? Is it possible that the Biden administration has basically given her carte blanche? Hey, listen, we don't really care about Somalia. It's over there. Ethiopia, what do we care? You just let us know what you need and we'll take care of it for you. You think she just came up with this on her own? Or are these the sort of things that are discussed behind closed doors within the Democratic Party caucus, in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, and yes, in this administration? Have you ever seen a more transactional political party than this? And by the way, if this is Ilhan Omar's understanding of how the administration, the Biden administration, will react to dust-ups over in the region of Somalia, what do you think Rashida Tlaib thinks the administration will do with regard to Israel and the Palestinian territories? I mean, it really does shed quite a bit of light on how the Biden administration has been reacting to Gaza and Hamas, right? I mean, think about it for a minute. The protests in the streets, the people of Dearborn, Michigan, rising up and screaming from the river to the sea, they are not on Israel's side. And Joe Biden needs to win Michigan if he wants to be reelected. In fact, whoever the Democrat nominee is, because it might not be Joe Biden, they need to win Michigan. So when Ilhan Omar says, listen, whatever goes on over in Somalia, the U.S. government is going to do what we and my voters tell them to do. Why? Because they want our votes. And that's exactly what we're seeing playing out in Michigan right now, that has one of the largest Palestinian American communities. One other thing, if I could, recently, over the last several years, Ilhan Omar has had a lot of things to say about the influence of political movements here in this country on behalf of Israel, right? Remember when she said, AIPAC, show me the Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins, right? They've got a lot of money. They buy off politicians. The reason why Washington, D.C. supports Israel so much is because of money, right? And she's also accused Israeli Americans and Jewish voters here in America and Jewish politicians of having dual loyalties, right? Oh, they care more about Israel than they care about America. That's something that's constantly said about high-profile Jewish Americans and Jewish politicians. This really does shed quite a bit of light on her thought process, on her psychology, doesn't it? Everything that she's accusing Israeli Americans or Jewish Americans of is exactly what she's articulated right here. I mean, the fact that she approaches international politics from the perspective of, I'm Somali first and you're going to do what I want with regard to Somalia, is exactly what she thinks Israel and Jewish Americans do. So if she does it herself, I guess it makes sense that she assumes that that's what Jewish Americans do on behalf of Israel. It's, again, outrageous, should tick you off, but it's also an incredible insight into who these people are and how they operate. But when you've got a United States Congresswoman standing up and declaring that she is Somali first, Muslim second, and doesn't even rank where she is as an American, when she is saying to Somali Americans that the U.S. government will do whatever they tell them they should do with regard to something that is in Somalia's interest rather than in America's interest, you've got grounds for removal from the House of Representatives. I mean, George Santos should be picking up the phone right now and asking for some kind of action.